Hello, and welcome to another edition of the Book Review Blog. I am your book reviewer, and today we're going to review the book The Dark Half by Stephen King. This is a book about a writer, as many of Stephen King's books are. I guess write what you know. And his name is Tad Beaumont, and at the beginning of the book, it starts when he's 11 years old, and Tad, really suffers from really bad headaches, and his parents take him to a doctor to get, because they're hoping, or they're thinking it might be like a tumor, or it might be something, because also Tad is suffering from seizures. And the doctors go in and operate, and instead of finding a tumor, what they end up finding is a part of Tad's twin. And then the doctor says that in about 10 cases, or out of 10 births, about 1 or 2 of births happens to be or starts off as a twin. And what happens is that in utero, the stronger twin, there it is, kind of absorbs the other twin, and usually you don't know about it until, if you die, if they perform an autopsy, or if you have like a normal CAT scan or something done. So anyway, so that's taken care of, and then about 20 years or about 30 years go by, and Tad is I don't want to call him a well-known writer exactly as himself, but he has written under the pen name of George Stark. And as Tad Beaumont, he is not a very good writer. He doesn't have a lot of success. But as George Stark, he is. And except George Stark is much darker than Tad Beaumont is. His books have more of like an action sequence and more of a darker side. And what happens is that somebody named Frederick Clausen realizes that Tad Beaumont and George Stark are the same person, and exposes him and blackmails him, and wants money and all that fun stuff. But Tad and his wife Liz consider this a blessing in disguise, because Tad really didn't like who he was when he was writing it as George. And so what happens is that they kind of create this like burial of George Stark, and they have people that are part of that, like the camera woman, I think her name is Phyllis Myers, and Tad's agents, which is a husband or ex-husband wife team named Rick and Miriam. And so after the magazine article, which is where this was, he thinks, okay, George is dead, essentially, because that's basically what it was, and then now I can move on with my life. So, but unfortunately, what starts to happen is that people in Tad's life, kind of outside, start to die. And the first one is the caretaker of his home in Castle Rock, Maine. So this is a Castle Rock story, essentially, except that is more of Tad and Liz's summer home. And next, people who are related to the article start to die, where like Frederick Clausen dies, and Rick and Miriam die. But what is puzzling is that the person who is doing this killing resembles Tad in a lot of ways, where like the sheriff is really thinking like Tad is there and really focusing on where Tad is, and all that. And everywhere he is, he has, an alibi, so it's not Tad. But Tad is beginning to realize that it is actually George Stark who is doing these murders, and that somehow George is trying to come back to life. And so there's kind of the storyline, and because there's a lot of things where Tad and George finally meet, And George wants to write a story of his own in using that, because in George's mind, that will bring him to life fully as, a full-grown adult. But and that's kind of where I'm going to end with it, because, again, I want you to read the book. The thing that I didn't like about the book itself is that it's obviously dark, but it's kind of gross. When the murders happen, they're kind of gross. And unfortunately, when George kind of appears, he's kind of gross looking. But if you're okay with that, the book is great. One of the things that also happens is that Tad keeps seeing sparrows, and he keeps writing the line, "The sparrows are flying again," and it turns out that superstitiously, or kind of that type of thing, sparrows are known to carry people to, like, the dead, who don't know they're dead exactly. It's one of those that, like, they carry off to the unknown or the dead. So they have a role in this book as well. So anyway, that's it for the review. And the next review book I'm going to read to review is The Stand, the complete and uncut edition. So there you are. And I bid you all farewell and happy reading.